This conference will now be recorded.
So today we'll be talking about IAM, popularly known as Identity Access Management. It has three pillars, means three sides it has. Uh, Before going there, let me talk about two things. So in Identity Access Management, just things like we are trying to put restrictions or put limitations, in different words, around different actors which are going to interact with our system. Okay, what I'm saying is we are trying to put restrictions or limitations on different actors which are going to interact with our system. Okay, now these restrictions are written in policy documents. Okay, means they are known as policy documents or policies. Okay, they can be YAML or they can be JSON. Okay, then when these are the restrictions. Okay, we talked about the restriction. Now let's talk about the actors. So actors are of three types. They can be users, they can be groups, or they can be roles. Okay, means actors can be segregated into these three broad groups. Okay, so when we have users, okay, so users can be you or me. Okay, you or me. And when we can attach a possible a policy to a user, individual user, and when we group those users, okay, when we group those users based on their functions, then we call them as a group. Okay, let's say you are an admin. Okay, your job is to go clean all the logs in all the servers. Okay, so what you need access to list all the logs, you need access to delete all the logs, you need access to copy all the logs. Okay, so you can say that your task would be more of housekeeping. Okay, so we can create a group named as housekeeping. We can give all the necessary permissions or policies to that group, after which what we will do, we will assign users to that group. So whatever policies you have in that group will automatically get percolated to that user. Okay, that user will automatically have all those policies, all those access, all those restrictions, and he can function accordingly. So these are from the user side, individual user or group of users. Okay, so if you want to talk more on this, so think about your organization's cloud management team. So let's say you are a developer, okay, and there is a new you are already doing some task, like you can log into the console, you can start your EC2 instances, you can stop your EC2 instances, but you might not be able to go and see the billing dashboard. You might not be able to see instances started by other people. You might not be able to access open internet from those EC2 instances. Okay, those type of restriction, those type of uh, limitations, we have it in a group. Now what is the means the other good side of a group would be, let's say you have already everything set up, a new guy came into the team. He So what cloud management team will do, they will ask him to first create the cloud ID based on your account. You got it, and what they'll do simply is they'll ask what role you are going to play. Are you a developer, are you a QA people, or are you a sysops admin? Based on that, they will attach that guy's ID to that particular group, and automatically he will get all the necessary privileges. Make sense? Okay, so yeah, so this is from the user side. Now think about a scenario. Let's say you have a server, okay, and that server needs to talk to some data which is residing on S3. Okay, so S3 is in different component, like let's say S3 is a different service and EC2 is running, it's a different service. Now these two services needs to talk to each other. So there is one way that they can directly go and access the S3's open internet URL. Okay, the other way is using the AWS backend infrastructure. Means as both the services are from AWS, so we should be having some way to talk to the other service from the first service, right? So what we can do is,
Right.
when we give privilege to an internal AWS service to use other service,
Hmm.
okay, internal other AWS service,
Okay.
that comes as part of a role. Okay, so
Okay.
roles should be unique. Okay, you should have one role
Okay.
assigned to one particular service. If you want that service to talk to different services, what you should do is create those many rules
Rule.
or roles. I'm sorry, not rules, roles. Okay, so what I'm saying, roles should not be combined. Reason being, let's say you created a role where you are querying S3, you are listing all the objects, and then you created a role where you just wanted user one to only list all the objects, get all the objects, and then later you created you modified that role unknowingly, that user can also put objects, he can also add objects, and still user one is associated with the role which was prior, like get object, and later you wanted to modify or change it for user two. Now both the users are having access to put and get objects, but traditionally, or what should be the actual case, user one should have only get access and the user two should have get and put access. So what you have to do is, you should not modify the current existing role, whatever it was there, created another role and assigned all both of these two roles to the user two. So he'll have get as well as he'll have put access. Okay, so roles should be atomic,
Okay.
and roles should be uh, uh, assigned to that particular service only wherever we want to give that restriction, means we want to add that restriction or we want to give that privilege. Okay, now these are the things like pillars of what are roles or what are the policies and what are users. Okay, now we'll be talking about something called as CLI. So we have AWS CLI, okay, command line interface. So as of now,
Okay.
you have seen this setup like console, right? So what happens is, whatever actions you can do on console, you can do the same actions on uh, AWS CLI. Okay, so
Okay.
what I'm
Okay.
going to do now is I'm going to set up AWS CLI in my local desktop and try to query the AWS management console. Means what? I came here, I listed S3, and I can see the bucket, whichever it will be there. So I'll show you here. I created one bucket for this demo. So bucket name is this. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is, I don't have AWS CLI set up in my local system. Yeah, you are able to see my screen terminal.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so here how it works is, you have to punch in AWS and then version, whether it is hyphen or version. Okay, it's not like this. Okay, so it will tell you whether it is installed and what is the version installed and the other dependencies. So before doing anything, what we have to do is, in order to set up this management console access to the local system, what we have to do is, we have to do something like AWS configure. Okay, means this is CLI, right? It needs to go and talk to the AWS API, management console API, and how it will authenticate. thinking from that way. We go to a website and we punch in our email address and password, right? Similarly, in AWS CLI,
Right.
what we do is we configure it locally. Okay, so I'm going to do the same things here. Okay, so I'll put AWS configure, and then what I'll do, I talked about IAM, user, group, and all those stuff, right? So let's see them in action.
Okay.
So here, if you see, I have user one totally. Okay, and this username is Gaurav.Bajpai. He's having a developer role, developer group. You'll see, okay, what access this group is having.
Okay.
So you can see that here we have users associated to this group is just one. Permissions we will see. So I have this administrator access permission, which is like one of the top permission available in AWS. So it gives me access to all the services available in AWS. Okay. So as I said, accesses are written in JSON documents. Okay. So let's see what is policy here.
Okay.
So here in all the policies, you will have something called as a statement, so which will be the starting block, which will be a list array, and then inside that we'll have an object which will talk about effect, action, and resource. Okay, so effect is allow, action is like all the actions like put, get, and all those things, right? Delete and all those, and then we have something called resource. Resource would be EC2, S3, RDS, ELB, security group, VPC components, and all those things. So I can do literally anything in my account. Okay. So this is what this policy document is saying. Actions were like the things which I want to do with the resources. Okay. Now, if I have to see other policies available, okay. So let's say we'll be today trying to play around with S3. So let's try to understand the S3 policy too. Okay. So this is okay. There is one more thing which I missed to tell in the initial beginning. The policy comes in two flavors. Okay, policies come in two flavors in AWS. The one is AWS managed policies. The other one is which you write, custom policies. Okay.
Okay.
So here what we are seeing is AWS managed policy. See if I can. Okay. One second. I wanted to see what exactly this policy is. So let me go to the policies tab and let's search here AWS read-only policy. I'm expanding it, and here this is the policy document. Okay. So as I said, we have something, the parent object is statement, which is an array. So in this, we'll have effect, action, and resources. Okay, effect, action, and resources. So effect would be whether you want to allow, or deny. Action would be an array of allowed actions. Okay, so in S3, so this is S3 only. Okay, it's not EC2, it's not ELB and all those things. Okay, so S3, I'm going to allow all the API calls which start with get. I'm going to allow all the API calls which start with list. You see this star at the end, right? So it is telling that anything which starts with get, allow it in the S3 service. Okay, in the S3 service. And resources here would be inside the S3, any bucket. Okay, so in S3, S3 is the service. Okay, action is S3 is the service, and resources would be any bucket inside that. When there was nothing, so resources were all the services. Okay, means action were allow all. It was like all the services, all the resources. Now as when we are restricting only S3, means action is to allow only these, then in that S3 all the buckets are allowed here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now
So
let's go to full access. Just see one more. Okay, so what it is saying in the full access, you can see in S3 service allow everything. Okay, for all the buckets. Okay, let's check EC2 once. EC2 read only access. Okay, this is bit interesting. Let's spend some time here. Okay, so in this, what we are doing, first we are allowing EC2 describe calls. Okay, for all the EC2 instances. Then what we are doing, we are allowing EC2 load balancing describe call. So when we give read only access for EC2 to any EC2 instance, they can also list load balancer. Okay, then it will also be able to list CloudWatch matrices. Okay, list CloudWatch matrices. Means it can query the CloudWatch API and get all the data. So here, list matrix, get matrix status, and then describe. So what list matrix will give you? What are all the matrices you are sending it to CloudWatch? CloudWatch is nothing but a dashboard which shows the runtime usage of your EC2 instance. Okay, so how much memory it is using, how much network it is using, and all those things. And then you can also do a describe on auto scaling group. Okay, so you have any questions so far? If this is not making sense, we'll just check it in 5 minutes. Let's go ahead with the user creation. It will make sense by end of the session. So here I have my ID, which is active from past 1.5 years now. So what I'm going to do now is, whenever you create a user, right, you have two types of access. One is AWS Management Console access. The other one is programmatic access. So what I'm doing here is the programmatic access, okay, CLI access. This is not Management Console access. So if I go and create a new user like AWS CLI user, okay, so here I can check what type of access I want to give it to you. Give it to AWS CLI user. Okay, so here I am giving programmatic access. So in this you can see it gives you access key ID, secret access key, and this is used for AWS API, CLI, SDK, and all other development tools. So think it like this: whenever you want to access AWS APIs from some other system which does not require any GUI, so you should go with the programmatic access. Okay. So next is the permissions. So here you can add user to a group, copy permission from existing user, or attach a policy directly. Okay, so let's say I want S3 directly. Okay, so S3 full access. If I want to give here, I can do that. Okay, and what I'm going to do currently now is I'll just add this user to developers group. Okay, add this user to developers group, which is having administrative access. Means throughout I can okay, so I'm just giving a tag as delete is equal to true to just let me know if I forget to delete it. Okay, now once I do create user, so what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to get is I'll get an access key ID. Okay, so what I have to do here, I have to put it like this. Now you can see it is asking secret access key. Okay, so I'll put a show here and I'll paste it here, and now it is asking me a default region. Okay, so default region is like where it will query by default. So I'm in Northern Virginia, US East 1. I'm putting it there. So I don't want any default output, and that's it. It got set. So how to say that it got set? There is one way to come here and query, check the S3, right? What are all the buckets available in S3? I showed you earlier, right? There was one bucket available. So this is one bucket available here. You can see that. So internally, what it is doing, it is calling the list API of S3, right? So what we can do is like we can also try to do the same here. So we can see that we are able to list the bucket. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now let's say I went inside here and I want to upload something. Upload something. I have anything? Okay, I can do this last second. How to find good images on internet? What I can find? Watchman. So you can see that it started upload.
Right.
We have a file here now. Okay. So what I have to do is if I do open here, you can see the file. Okay. It's very good. Great image. Okay, so what we can do now is let's go to console S3 ls S3. I guess it should be done like this. You can see that we are able to list the Taj Mahal as well. Okay, so you can see what I did is it got updated just now, and I'm querying the ls means S3 list and this particular bucket only. Okay, if I'm not wrong, we can also copy and all those things. I might need to Google it. AWS CLI. Copy file to local. 2016. Okay, prefix.
So Gaurav, this CLI you are using this interface. How can I access to this in my computer?
Yeah, good question. So for that, what you have to do, you have Windows or Mac? What you have?
Windows.
Okay, so we'll
Windows.
come here, AWS CLI install Windows. Okay, you'll go here to first link, whatever is available. You will skip that. This is version 1. We'll go to version 2. Okay. Then what you have to do, you have to follow the set of commands available here. Download the CLI MSI installer. Once that is done, run this AWS CLI, AWS version command. If you are able to see something like this, then you are good to go. Okay. So the only problem what you might face in Windows is like sometimes you have to go and add the binary to the environment variable. Okay, in the Windows, so that it can start coming here in the console. You have to start a new session on CMD and then try the AWS version. The same thing. What I did the same steps available here for macOS. Okay. So once that is done, all the steps are same. Like whatever we are doing currently is same because this binary is same AWS. So you have to type like AWS S3LS and all those things, right? So you have to do it like this.
Right.
Okay. So what AWS CLI copy image, copy file to local. It is saying 2016. I don't like going through older. So it is something like this. Okay. Okay. Let's try it. So it is saying like AWS S3 CP and then S3 my bucket name and then this file name and then the context that is here. No match found for this. No matches found. AWS S3 or this guy is saying So it is saying that Jingalaloo, this is not available. No matches found. Okay. 1 second. So what we can do in these kind of scenarios, it's good that it is happening now. We can, I guess, ask for help. Okay. So what this guy is saying, we can have some examples how to copy and all. Let's see if we can find it. Okay. So CP copying a local file to S3. Copying a local file to S3 with an expiration date. Okay. So if I have this Taj Mahal here, it will get posted there. That is good. And copying a file from S3 to S3. Okay. So we have two buckets name, text this and text that. So it will be copied this text to text to. Copying an S3 object to a, oh, perfect. See, this is what the problem is. You are seeing here. I saw the problem. Okay.
Where?
I'll tell you. Alibaba. No matches found. Once again, shorthand. So what I'm trying to do and what I saw in the documentation, I'll just show you again. So maybe I missed something which you might see. So copying an S3 object to a local file. So what we are doing, copy S3 and then this name and then this object. Okay, download. output would be this. Okay, I believe I'm making a mistake here with the file name. Is it something like this? Because there are spaces in these. No spaces. That's interesting. So these are some real life problems which you will face. Okay. So we are doing the steps what we what to say, what we are reading, but you can see right what is happening. Yes, let me copy this as well. Okay. Fatal error and error occurred when calling head object operation key. Okay, it is not occurred. Okay. Let's do it other way.
Okay.
We'll first ls it and this is the name of the bucket. This is the object. Maybe. I'm saying it is not able to find this altogether. This is a bit funny stuff. Can you get the details here? Check if I'm missing anything. Okay, so it is saying you can do the recursive, but I wanted to copy a particular profile. In case you want to download a single file, you can try the following command: path to your folder. This is what is not working. Okay.
Okay.
This is interesting. What I can do? Okay, I can do one more thing. Could be a file system problem with Mac. So I am here in Penguin and I am here. So what I can do is Penguin. Okay, and then I can have m.jg. Oh, boss, this is interesting.
No, ma'am.
It's coming up. It's not coming up. It's it's key is this, modifier is this. Go back. I tried this already. If I do it like this, number expected m.jpeg. Okay, let's try this. CP, and what I want is I want to copy it here. Let's see what it is doing. Subcommand is parameter. Okay, so hyphen recursive. Some interesting problems. I guess I chose the wrong name. Okay, shall I try pushing something which is just a plain text? Examples are the CP text. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so we'll first try to put an object which is basic, simple. Okay. Yeah, AWS. Okay, so what we'll do is like touch text.txt. Okay, so we have touch.txt. We have AWS S3 CP text.txt, and we are copying it to this. What is this? And we'll name the file as test2.txt. Upload failed, an error, no such bucket. When calling the put operation, the specified bucket does not exist. Oh, interesting. S3 is listing it, but we cannot put it. And I am an administrator. That is interesting, bro. Okay, can I put it like this? Upload fail dot text and error. Okay, no such bucket when calling put object operation. The specified bucket does not exist. That's interesting. If we do an ls here, this guy will return the stars. Oh, we wrote the wrong name. How is that possible? I guess that is why this is not working. Earlier what I gave S3 ls S3 colon this only I gave, right? It was coming up. The name is wrong. Aha. Okay, so you have uploaded this. I believe that is what also the problem was.
Jingalala.
Arre Baba.
Lala. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Jingalala Hoo Hoo, and then that guy Taj Mahal will come. Okay. Okay, and then this would be, let's say, dot dot jpg. Ah, no matches found. Jingalala. Arre Baba, I need to check that. Why this guy is not coming up? This is interesting. So we are seeing two files now. Okay, we uploaded one from console,
Okay.
but this guy is not coming up. It's very bad for this. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, why I uploaded it? Just to see if it is something wrong with our setup. So what is the file name? Test.txt. Text.txt.
Okay.
And then here we'll be calling it as foraf.txt. Okay, so it was wrong. It is wrong with the file name. I believe this is not allowed or something is happening. Okay, it's not the command or something, but yeah, it's interesting. So what we can do now is we did ls and we can see that. Okay, the file.
Okay.
And what we can do is we can remove this as well. Text.txt. So these are some basic operations with EC2 ls. Can we do that? I have never tried it. Means
Oh,
this is not how I'll interact with my AWS terminal, but mostly it is important for people who do some. So I can do it with Google and then AWS CLI list EC2 instances. Okay, describe instances. Okay, let's do this. Sharing my screen. Let's see how it will work. So I have 1T2 micro. It's in US East 1B. Currently it is running. This is its DNS name. It has only one EBS volume. Instance profile is S3 admin access. So we'll talk about admin profile and all those things in next 5 minutes. So it's easy to describe instances, but I wanted name only. Okay. Filter instance type tag key. Okay, let's do a filter this as well and values to name. Name is for the EC2 instance. So whatever you can do there, right? You can do in console as well. Okay.
okay.
So let me give a tag here. So what are all the things we have covered here so far? That you should not give the names like with having brackets and all in CLI. Otherwise, you will struggle like me for some time if you'll miss that. And we talked about user policies and CLI setup. Now we'll be talking about CLI setup on EC2 instance, and then we already saw how we can enlist the S3 resources in our local system, right? Just to prove that we can do whatever we can do in console. And okay, it is showing skipping. Okay, so same instance came here this time as well. Now let's do something interesting. The filter instance is invalid. My instance filters name is equal to my
instance.
right. It's doing something, making so many noises. Bell is ringing a lot. Okay, invalid parameter value. Okay, we can check that bit later, but we can add filters. Filters should work as they are supposed to work. Instance ID. Instance ID is equal to okay. Let's see how it works. Okay, it is not taking space here as well. You might need to do some documentation study, but that is how you can restrict and try it. Anyways, this is not my cup of tea, but I wanted to show you because you will get questions on this in the exam, how to set up, how to restrict it, and what is user, what is roles, and all those things along with it. So let's say you gave someone programmatic access, but only for S3, so they cannot do anything else apart from that. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, so what is the next agenda? Yeah, going to CLI for EC means going to CLI setup at EC2. So I have an EC2 instance running for you. Okay, so you know, right? We have multiple ways to connect to an EC2 instance, like standalone, session manager, and then instance connect. So what I'm doing is I'm just using the browser-based client to connect to an EC2 instance. So I'm in, and I already did a sudo yum update, so there should not be anything. Yeah, and then what I can do is here comes the interesting part. Okay, keep your eyes open. AWS EC2 describe instance. Invalid choice describe instance says. Okay, you must specify a region. You can also configure your region there. Okay. I guess we can give it like this: US East 1. Okay. An error occurred when calling the describe instances operation. You are not authorized to perform this operation. Okay. Mind you, we are in EC2 instance. Okay. Now think of that scenario which we talked earlier: user, roles, groups. So this is a resource, it's not a user. Okay, so we cannot create an
Okay.
ID here and then so how you will solve it currently? Let's say you want to do it the way we did it in our console. What you will do, you will come here and do a configure, and then will you AWS configure and then give all these IDs. You feel like this is the right way? On server you will store your own IDs there. If your server is compromised, it will be gone, right? Anyone can do anything with your account,
Right.
or instantiate services and then do the changes. CLI is as powerful as your web console. Okay, so if they can get access to these keys, or this server is compromised, they can literally do anything on your account. Okay, so what we do, what we follow in software development is giving least privilege necessary to anyone. Okay, so here I told you, as this is a role, right, what you have to do is detach it. Okay, so I was trying something earlier, so I added it. So what you have to do in the EC2 console, you can go to instance setting. Here in attach and replace IAM role. Okay, so role is what? Role is for resources. We talked earlier, right? So what we can do is we can give privilege to this resource to do some activity with the AWS service. Okay.
Okay.
So here it is saying cannot locate AWS S3 LS credentials and all those things, right? So what we can do is here instance setting, attach and replace IAM role. I have a role like S3 admin access already. So in this admin S3 admin access, so it will give you privilege to query it and do whatever you want. Okay, so I have assigned it. Let's complete. Let's let it complete. This usually does not take this much time. Yeah. So what we can try is, you saw, right, what is happening? You're able to access S3 now. Hello?
Able to S3. Okay.
Yeah. Earlier we saw error that it is not available. Let's if you want, we can do it again. We can attach and replace it. We can do a no role. Apply.
Okay, sure.
Yes, detach. Operation done. You can come here. Same command. Unable to locate credentials. You saw what we exactly did just now. Without passing any credentials, we are able to locate AWS service from internally from our own AWS resources. If you think from the software development side, this is so cool. Okay, you don't have to go query anything else. You can directly go and access and then perform your operation. Now coming back to, okay, so you understood from how we can do it from our local laptop. Now you check like how you can give access to resource in S3 AWS. If you want, what we can do is, still there is a problem. If you see here AWS EC2 describe Are Baba.
Invalid, yes.
Okay, so it will say locate credentials not available. Okay, now what we'll do is let's create a role now. Okay, and attach it in front of you. So I came here and clicked on create new role. Okay.
Okay.
And EC2. Okay, so these are the roles which I've already created some 256 days back and all those things, right? But now I'm going to create a new role. So I'm going to common use case, allow EC2 instances to call AWS service on your behalf. Okay, so we'll check this. So here I'm going to attach an role to EC2 service. Okay, I'll go to permissions.
Okay.
And here we will select what we want. So here it is saying EC2. Do we have anything like full access? Yeah, full access. Okay, and then I can go to tag.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have created the role EC2 full access. It is here. So what we can do is we can come here and we can refresh this, and then you will see EC2 full access role. Okay, like this is there. Now we will check how this is happening behind the scene. Okay. So we'll come here and we'll run the same command. Then we are good to go. Okay. Now we'll see something interesting. So we checked resources. Now we'll talk about instance metadata. This is also an important concept. So what is instance metadata? So there is a URL. If I'm not wrong, it is 169.254.169.54. Let me write it. Okay. So whenever any EC2 service or EC2 whenever AWS service or EC2 instance queries this endpoint, this is a reserved URL from AWS, you will get information about yourself. Means EC2 instance will get information about itself. Okay, so how we have to do is like we have to put a latest tag here. You will get something called as dynamic and metadata. Okay, so we'll add metadata. Then you will get information like what is AMI ID, what is AMI launch index, and then what is the host name. Okay, what is instance ID and all those things. Okay, let's add host name. Okay, so you will get host name as this. You got this. This is the internal host name. Okay, and let's say you want public host name from the instance. Okay, you are not aware what this guy is doing, but public host name. So instead of hard coding all these values, right, you can get these values directly from the metadata. Okay, because this host name, let's say the server got restarted. Okay, so it will change. If you'll hard code, you have to go back again, change it in your code, or pass it as an environment variable, and then it will be able to. Why not use this and directly query it? Okay, now let's do one more interesting stuff. We have something called as IAM. Okay, so let's see what is inside the IAM. So we have two things: info and security credentials. Okay,
Credential.
so yeah, so first we'll go inside it. So in info, you can see that this guy is attached to an instance profile which is named as EC2 full access.
Full access.
You're able to see? Able to correlate now?
Yes, right.
What is happening here? Like when you go to attach and replace IAM role, you will get attached to this policy. So behind the scene, what is happening that AWS is configuring some kind of login credentials to make sure EC2 is able to connect to S3. Okay, in order to prove it, let's go inside security credentials. Okay, so you can see we have something called as EC2 full access. Okay, I queried this, I got this.
Right.
So this is the role which we assigned. Okay, so let's put it here and see what is happening. So here you will see that you have some token. Okay, access key ID also you have. You have secret access key as well.
Yes.
Now you are able to correlate what exactly is happening. AWS is configuring the same setup which we did it on our local, but with some expiration and all. Okay, so it is like taken care by AWS, but it's behind the scene. Okay. So these are all the things which we can do with the instance metadata. You can play around with it. Now let's metadata. So this is the URL. So 169.254, 169.255. So there is nothing to remember here. You can see, right, what I did. I just slowly went with the flow. I don't remember all these things. So that's why you just query it once, then go, then slowly you can see. What question you will get is, I'll tell you, in the metadata, sometimes you will be asked what are all the things you can get. Okay, just have a look here. What are all the things? So let's say public host name, public IPv4, public keys, and all those things you can get. Okay, security group as well. So you remember why I said you should not configure your credentials on the EC2. Let's say someone compromised someone hacked this server, they got those credentials, they can modify these parameters because they have the keys now, and they can literally do anything whatever they want to. Okay.
Right.
Now coming back to IAM again. Okay, so if you are in sysops admin, you will be using this particular segment pretty much often. Okay, so policies, not sure where is that. Policy actions, policy simulator, create policy. So here, let's say we are creating a policy now. Okay, so let's say I'm creating a my manual policy, general documentation. Select a service below. Okay, so I selected S3. And now it is asking what operations you want to allow. So do you want to allow all the S3 services, or you just want to write allow list or read or tagging, write, permission management. So let's say we want read. Okay.
Hmm.
Now in read, there is still segregation. Okay. So you have read get
Hmm.
objects, you have get object access control list. ACL means that you want list jobs, list bucket versions, multi-part uploads, access points, and all those things. There are total 41 granular read operations. Okay, so if you don't want all,
Hmm.
you can do this. Yeah? You can just select get object. User will not be able to do anything else. Okay, remember actions and resources.
Okay.
In actions we gave get star, right? So you can see how many get are there. Okay, make sense now?
Okay.
Yeah, access
Right.
level. Now here, okay, I expanded it. Yeah, let's say I did this. It is not closing. Yeah, so in the read we have selected only get object. Here in resources you can see specify object resource ARN for the get object action. Okay, I expanded it, so it is saying like resources can be specific, all or resources, all resources. Yeah, I'm sorry, all resources. Okay, so specific can be the particular one which we are seeing here in S3. So this is particular bucket. Okay, so do you want to only give access inside this particular bucket, and that too for only get
Hmm.
and nowhere else? So we can give an ARN. So ARN stands for AWS resource number or locator. It should be locator. I will show you what is ARN. Hmm. Huh. So this is saying copy an ARN. Okay.
Hmm.
And if you paste it here, this is an ARN. ARN, AWS S3. What bucket? This one, this guy. Okay. So if you want, I can come here and add that ARN here. So either I can add the bucket name. So bucket name is Chingalala QQ. So what we can do is I can directly paste this here. Okay.
Hmm.
Entered ARN is invalid. It like this. Okay. Okay. Oh. Ah.
Yeah. You have to type it here.
Okay. And
Okay.
here it is saying that you can list all the objects inside this type. Okay, so this is it.
Okay.
And request condition is any source IP which you want to restrict, or you want to have multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication, you'll have
Right.
what different apps which will change, right? Every time. Google Authenticator is one of them. So when you configure it, so whenever you'll request,
Yes.
it will ask for the authentication code, and once it satisfies, then it will. So we don't want any request condition here, and or you can restrict it with the public
Hmm.
proper source IP. So all these things you can have it
Okay.
inside the policy document. S3. Okay, I will remove this. Okay, and custom. So you can see the difference between AWS managed policy and custom policy. Okay,
Right.
we will not be having any AWS symbol there, and you have only get permission here. So this is the new policy. What you can do now is you can create a new role, attach this new policy there. So let's say create
Okay.
a role, AWS service S3 and EC2 permissions. Get this custom policy, tag, true. Yeah, you got the role. Where is this? Where is this? Custom policy read S3. What you can do now is you can go to EC2. Running instance.
Okay.
Custom policy S3 read. Apply. Close. Come here. This session is still alive, so it's gone. You can do connect EC2. Connect. AWS S3 LS S3
STLS.
access denied. Okay, list object is not allowed. Okay,
Okay.
but get is allowed. So how get will work? This text.txt, right? S3, we are doing LS now. Can we do something like this?
Yes.
CP LS MB get object now. Okay, can we do CP? Sure. Okay, it downloaded. So you can see t.txt is there. So get is working, list is not working. Okay, if you want, you can go back, add the list as well in the policy, and then it will be working. Okay, IAM. And roles, custom policy for S3. attach a policy.
So we can modify the role.
Yes, you can always do that. If you know what you're doing, you will never have a problem. Okay. So I'm removing this policy. I'm detaching it. I'm changing it to, I'm sorry. I went okay. And yeah, I changed my role. It is S3 full access now. So technically, we should be able to do this. Perfect. Okay. So this is one deep lecture on policies. I'm doubtful.
Right.
So I'm stopping it now. The share. Is it fine?
Okay, fine.